Upon entering the cabin, an unsettling feeling washed over me almost instantly. It wasn't the anticipated silence that caused this disquiet, as the world outside was shrouded in a blanket of snow, muffling all sound. Rather, it was the profound absence of my presence that resonated within me. There were no boots by the door, no cherished photograph of us resting on the mantel. The distinctive leather chair I had carefully selected was conspicuously absent, replaced by a nondescript piece of furniture that seemed to blend into the background. As I rummaged through the office drawer, I stumbled upon a file labeled Property. Everything had undergone a transformation. Documents reprinted, reorganized, renamed. My name had been meticulously excised from the updated paperwork, leaving only her maiden name and her parents' names. When I confronted her father, he nonchalantly remarked, "We just made a few updates," as he sipped his coffee, treating the moment as if we were merely engaging in trivial small talk on refuse collection day. Beside him, she smiled sweetly, yet with a venomous undertone asserting, "It's still family land." I exited before the impulse to speak my mind could lead to irreparable words. The drive back down the icy mountains stretched for 4 hours, the car's heating system malfunctioning and my stomach churning with anxiety. That night, sleep eluded me. I accessed the safe, retrieved the original deed, signed and financed entirely by me, filed under my name, and sent it to the one person they never anticipated. However, that sequence of events stemmed from a time 3 years prior. The cabin had represented a dream, a dilapidated log structure nestled on forgotten land. I envisioned its potential. She contemplated its implications. Our weekends were dedicated to its restoration, erecting new walls, installing new wiring, and creating new memories. Back then, her parents deemed it too isolated, yet their perspective shifted dramatically once the renovations concluded. They now reveled in their retirement there, behaving as though they had crafted it with their own hands. She used to sprint barefoot up the porch steps, her wild hair and bright eyes embodying the essence of freedom. She referred to it as our sanctuary and claimed she had never felt more at peace. Her words were many. Over time, a gradual shift occurred. Initially, she began to skip the weekends, citing an overwhelming workload as the reason. Then the girls' nights, which rarely appeared on her calendar, became commonplace. I noticed charges from hardware stores near the cabin, items like paint, lumber, and locks. "You said it needed updating," she told me casually, though I had never made such a statement. One evening, her phone lit up on the table, revealing a message preview from her father. "Everything's in motion. He won't notice." She was oblivious to my reading it, and I chose not to confront her. Instead, I kissed her forehead and told her to get some rest. Following that, I began sleeping in the office. She assumed my silence was born of anger, but in truth, I was deeply focused. Pain possesses a peculiar ability to sharpen one's senses and instill caution. I hired someone discreet and dependable who provided me with photographs. Her parents unloading furniture, exchanging signs, and ripping out fixtures. I was the one installing them. My wife was seen handing over paperwork at the clerk's office. I meticulously traced the digital records, filing timestamps, property transfers. They were not merely seizing the cabin, they were systematically erasing my existence. Yet history is resilient. It does not simply fade away. Not when it is notarized. Not when it exists across 3 states. Not when the original deed bears my signature, my identification, my financial investment. They mistook my sentimentality for weakness, forgetting my methodical nature. I labeled every document, time-stamped everything, and then I waited. The anonymous tip I sent was just enough to pique interest. A routine audit subsequently uncovered the discrepancies. Right on cue. Afterward, I mailed the complete file to her aunt, a retired real estate attorney who harbored a deep disdain for her brother, my wife's father. They had underestimated her as well. She retaliated fiercely, filing a complaint and requesting an inquiry. Her name alone halted their actions. The cabin's legal status was frozen, pending investigation. It was then that I orchestrated a dinner meeting at a discreet steakhouse, reserving the private room. I donned the same suit I had worn when I initially signed the deed. Perhaps it was petty, but it felt gratifying. Her parents arrived with an air of arrogance, while my wife made a dramatic entrance, as was her custom.